Hey, this is Zachlog the Great. So, tonight I'm doing something a little different, and I wanted to talk about chimerism. Um, Not the chimera of Greek mythology, although that is where the name comes from, and although I do find Greek mythology interesting and wouldn't mind covering it sometime. Chimerism is, in fact, a medical condition. And so this is, a bit of biology. Um, although it's not, although it is a medical condition, it's not a disease, although it can contribute to some. It's just a little something I found interesting, found poetic, I guess you could say, in a strange sort of way, and thought you might as well. Um, Chimerism is when you have a living organism that has two distinct genetic codes in different parts of the organism. Um, it happens in other animals. I'm primarily interested in humans because, I am one. Um, Chimerism is how this happens is, primarily um, when we are in the womb, when we're not yet born. If twins are conceived, sometimes both of them are not in fact born. Sometimes what happens is one of the twins will in fact be absorbed or incorporated into the other. Um, and when this happens, the person is born with two distinct genetic codes, the codes for two different people in different parts of their body. And when I first heard about this, they were telling a story of a woman who was, I believe she needed an organ transplant, and so the first place you go is to close relatives. So they tested her and they tested her kids, and they found an oddity when they came back because they said, according to our tests, you are these children's mother. Now we've had cases where the dad isn't the dad before, but this is a kind of a new one on us. Um, you are their aunt, and what happened evidently was that wherever they got the sample from, wherever they got her DNA sample from, was a was of a different had a different set of DNA from her ovaries, and so um, it read as those were read as two distinct people. Um, and one reason I find this so interesting, so odd, is there's literally no way for us to ever know how common this is. It's probably pretty uncommon. It's probably pretty rare. But um, in order to find out, not only would you have to genetically test everybody, which is there's no point in doing that. It's not necessarily a cheap process to do it well. But you would have to genetically test several parts of everybody, and compare them and make sure that it's all one person. So like there's no reason, there's no practical way to know how common this is. Um, Probably pretty rare, but there's really no way of knowing. It could be fairly common. Um, Probably not. But the other thing I want to talk about, and part of the reason, as I said, I find this somewhat poetic, is that the in addition to that kind, there's also what is called microchimerism, which is usually the cells with a distinct genetic code, just a relative few of them in the bloodstream of another person. And most commonly, this comes from fetal-maternal chimerism. That is, cells from the mother, can carry on in the child, or vice versa. Apparently, one estimate I read was about a third of women who have had children will have fetal-maternal microchimerism, which that is getting to be quite a mouthful. And that is, they will literally have a living part of their child, living inside them, for years afterwards. And I don't feel like I don't think I can adequately explain why I find that quite so interesting. I don't think I can really, you know, really put into words, the kind of poetry I see in that. But as a father, as a parent, I just find that weirdly beautiful. The idea that a mother and a child can be linked in that way. And there's all kinds of more information about this out there. If you want to look up further, I'll probably link to a couple of articles in the description if you want to find out more about this. Just a topic I found kind of interesting. Thought some of you might enjoy. Thought I would share with you today. Anyway, good night, and God be with you.